So you know how this goes. Question everything. You should. And remember, this is for entertainment purposes only. Let's get to it.
Can you imagine people living like this in America? No, it's a homeless camp. Somebody's house. Wow. Yep, you tell me.
Crazy thing about that is a lot of people look at that and be like, oh, they just think people just made poor decisions. That's not always the case. It's not.
And developing tonight, a downtown restaurant says one of their former employees retaliated after being demoted in a way that forced them to shut down and also get the police involved. Thank you for joining us tonight at 10 o'clock. I'm Keith Garvin. Daniela is off tonight. The man involved is accused of putting his genitals in food items at the business. Late this evening, the restaurant culture responded to the story with a statement saying in part that they took immediate action by shutting down our establishment, cleaning the entire space, discarding all existing inventory, and contacting the police to have the employee arrested immediately. But the investigation into this man, 27-year-old Othello Holmes, stretches beyond the restaurant. Detectives believe Holmes may have been creating and sharing. KPRC2's Bryce Newberry is tracking developments in this case.
Not only is this case concerning for public health, but also public safety. Investigators say it all started with a tip from the manager of that downtown Houston restaurant after they saw a video of their employee sticking his genitals in a jar of jelly. He's being called by investigators. 27-year-old Othello Lorenzo Holmes facing 5 charges after an investigation of an alleged lewd act at work.
It's very disturbing.
Holmes worked as a cook at Culture downtown, but no longer after he allegedly recorded a video of himself putting his genitals in open food items, confessing to sticking it in a jar of jelly earlier this month. Court records show he told investigators he had a sexual urge, but stopped himself, and that he has the urges frequently.
When the restaurant found out about this behavior going on, they immediately shut down to everybody.
Constable Alan Rosen says staff sanitized the kitchen and threw away contaminated items. When Precinct 1 investigators went through Holmes' phone, he says they found thousands of videos on it, some of them allegedly showing Holmes involved in sexual acts around.
We think there may be victims out there that involve children.
Investigators believe the victims are local. They arrested Holmes near his Meyerland area apartment on Thursday, deeming him a danger to society who should not be around children. He's now in jail with a $500,000 bond.
It's mind-boggling. Somebody having a fetish with food and restaurants, and then he's a very sick person.
Tonight, investigators say they don't have any indication that any contaminated food got served to anyone, but they also say that Holmes has worked at other Houston area restaurants over the years. They plan to get a subpoena for his DNA and a medical evaluation just to check for any potential sexually transmitted diseases. And because investigators believe he may have shared those videos with others, federal charges are possible. I'm Bryce Newberry, KPRC 2 News.
And developing tonight.
What you mean federal charges are possible? He should have automatically got hit with felonies, 100 of them. I don't care. Like, and I get why y'all be saying this stuff, man. Eat at home. Eat at home. We put so much trust in those, like, blind trust in those who make our food. Blind trust. We don't give that type of blind trust out anywhere else but the food industry. This is sick, man. This is sick. Thank God I ain't asked for jelly on nothing in a long. I don't even remember the last time I had jelly for something when I ate out.
I want to let y'all in on a little conspiracy theory I've been cooking up. About a month ago, I had to go buy all new forks because I had just no forks for some reason. All right. Obviously, I had the other utensils, but now for some reason, I have no butter knives. All my butter knives are gone. Okay. My theory is one of my friends is playing some sort of prank. It's not like I threw away every single butter knife I have, or prior to that, every fork I had. Where are my utensils? I want to let y'all in on a little.
Hey, I know we talk about conspiracy theories all the time, whether it be aliens, JFK, all kind of different things. But this one right here, talk about something that grinds your gears. This one right here, what happens to all of the silverware and the socks in the house? Where do they go? I didn't buy one sock, I bought two. I bought a ton of knives and forks. Where did they go? Are they up at the bottom of the dishwasher? I look there, they're not there. You look in your kid's room? Are they throwing them away when they throw out their plate of food? Like, I don't know, bro, but that right there could start a war in your home, I'm telling you.
Car rider line confessions. On top of all of the stress of running my own business and being a mom, teaching classes at a homeschool co-op, and my various volunteer roles, Hurricane Helene happened and I had to move my mom into the house with us. And I got scammed out of $10,000. That's not something anyone wants to have to admit, but I don't want what happened to me to happen to anyone else. So I feel like I should talk about the scam and make it public. Should I or should I not make this a little story time? I am now in communication with the United States Secret Service and the SEC about the scam. Cyber and crypto fraud is just not something many people understand. I haven't had time to be mad until now. Car rider line confessions.
Listen, if I've said it once, I say it again. Crypto, you better do your research. Know what you're doing over there with all of that. And just know it's a lot of scamming going on over there. I don't know where to point you in the right direction or what. I don't know, but I hear a lot of the stories about scamming and crypto and different things. It's everywhere. I mean, scamming is everywhere. I try to show you something all the time to keep you on the lookout, from text message scams to scamming phone calls to cryptocurrency to investments, whatever it is. I'm trying to look out for y'all.
And getting $3K a month from the government, baby, I don't blame you. Get your coins. See, a lot of people up here talking about, the government take care of her baby and we pay the bills. Y'all don't pay because do welfare come out your check? Do food stamps come out of your check? No, SSI and Medicare does, not Medicaid.
Girl, she is collecting your coins. If you filed for taxes last year, did you go to H&R Block? There was one in Walmart. They're everywhere. Did you not file your taxes? What you said about taxes taken out of your check, yes, that is correct.
That good old state and federal, bruh. Get you every time. Sons of...
However, there is more to it, and I hope you filed your taxes every year. For 2023, this is what the average taxpayer in New York had to contribute to food and agriculture. Total of $1,088, $709.41 going to SNAP program. For those that live in California, they contribute $669.25 to the SNAP program. Looking at Georgia, $438.64 was what an average taxpayer had to pay in the 2023 income tax year. Looking at Illinois, $551.92 contributed to the SNAP program. I don't know if you didn't know this, but they can't just print out money whenever they want to. They don't take the money and just Xerox it. And it's like, oh, we need to pay for this or provide this, so we're just going to keep on printing money. Where did you think that the government funding comes from?
And getting $3K a month from the...
I ain't gonna lie to y'all, when she put that on the screen, I got a little tight. I got a little hot. I ain't gonna lie. Just seeing how much you pay and comes out, and after all the hard work you did, and it just comes out and it just goes. It just flies away. Like, y'all wasn't there helping me make that money.
The White House says that you will identify and excuse yourself from any conflicts of interest that you may have. Does that mean that you are in effect policing yourself? What are the checks and balances that are in place to ensure that there is accountability and transparency?
Well, we actually are trying to be as transparent as possible. In fact, we post our actions to the DOGE handle on X and to the DOGE website. So all of our actions are maximally transparent. In fact, I don't think there's been, I don't know of a case where an organization has been more transparent than the DOGE organization. So, you know, and the kind of things we're doing are, I think, very, very simple and basic. They're not, you know, what I mentioned, for example, about Treasury, just making sure that payments that go out, taxpayer money that goes out, is categorized correctly, that the payment is explained, that organizations on the do not pay list, which takes a lot to get there, that actually are not paid, which currently they are paid. These are not individual judgment decisions. These are about simply having sensible checks and balances in the system itself to ensure that taxpayer money is spent well. So it's got nothing to do with, like, say, a contract with some company of mine at all.
But if there is a conflict of interest when it comes to you yourself, for instance, you've received billions of dollars in federal contracts. When it comes to the Pentagon, for instance, which the president, I know, has directed you to look into.
Yeah.
Are you policing yourself in that? Is there any sort of accountability check and balance in place that would provide any transparency for the American people?
Well, all of our actions are fully public. So if you see anything, you say, like, wait a second, hey, you know, that seems like maybe that's, you know, there's a conflict there. It's not like people are going to be shy about saying that. They'll say it immediately, you know?
Including you yourself.
Yes. But transparency is what builds trust, not simply somebody asserting trust. So not somebody saying they're trustworthy, but transparency, so you can see everything that's going on. And then you can see, am I doing something that benefits one of my companies or not? It's totally obvious.
And if we thought that, we would not let him do that segment or look in that area if we thought there was a lack of transparency or a conflict of interest. And we watch that also. He's a big businessman. He's a successful guy. That's why we want him doing this. We don't want an unsuccessful guy doing this.
I just want to say, when you look at the American education system and then TikTok itself, a lot of people have become this app has improved the quality of people's lives, relationships, right, which affects their life, their jobs, their health. All of these things directly connected to life. I probably shouldn't have even mentioned life first, so I'm always going to circle back in this post to life. But basically, everything that improves the quality or could, bro, it could actually be found on this app here. I mean, this app is nigh omnipotent, bro. It's basically the one above all. If this was a Marvel character, TikTok would be God. Straight up. So, like, you know, I think that it's not just the narrative of they don't want people educated and, you know, unity and things of that. It's once you realize that life itself is kind of crap, there's crooked everywhere. It's all about narratives and controlling. It's all about money and power. And then for the true conscious people, like, once you arrive at all of this, like, okay, it's all power. But most of y'all still stop there. It's like y'all don't see over the wall, over the ice wall. Y'all still not asking these esoteric questions. Well, if you know it's all a game, clearly we started off thousands of years ago with a different type of society. So we evolved to this society. If you strip society away, then you strip away everything we created. What did God actually make outside of earth and allegedly people? Let's really think about that. Everything else we made. So what is the point of this, bro? I want society to crumble so that y'all can wake the fuck up. That's the reality. I don't enjoy this, but it needs to be done. I'm out. I just want to say,
some people say you need to destroy before you elevate. I've heard that. Heard it in music lyrics. I've heard it in quotes. I've heard people say that a lot. You know, you need to tear down before you can rebuild. Maybe that's what's happening. Maybe that's what we're witnessing right now. Tearing down. That has everybody in the uproar, because in that tear down, you lose something. Something that you may benefit from. You lose it and all. So when we get to the other side of this rebuild, we're going to find out whether it was for us or it wasn't for us. You know, whether we lost a lot or a little. Did we gain a lot or a little? Like, we're going to find out. I told you 2025 is definitely marked FAFO. That's 2025.
The Chinese spy balloon that was shot down in 2023 contained American-made technology that could have allowed it to spy on Americans.
You hear it?
Oh, it just exploded.
No way!
The giant balloon entered the US through Alaska in January 2023 and quickly sparked public debate. Beijing claimed that it was simply a weather balloon that blew off course, but America wasn't buying it, as just weeks later a US military fighter jet shot it down due to concerns that it was spying on key military sites across the country. But it turns out that the balloon actually contained American-made technology from at least 5 US companies, including a satellite module and other sensors to help gather intelligence. Iridium, one of the US tech companies linked to the balloon, told Newsweek that they didn't know its technology was used in the balloon and that their products are available commercially, making them difficult to track. We certainly don't condone our radios or our modules ending up and being used in ways they shouldn't be, they said. The Chinese...
So nobody know nothing, huh? Nobody know nothing. It just happened. It's there. Got some of your products on it, but you don't know how they got there. And it's spying on us. Bro, this is something, man. And sometimes you just cannot believe this is the world we're living in. This is actually happening. A real live movie script is actually happening in real life. It's crazy. What if they just started brawling like right in the middle of that? You got all the balls, and they just started going. Oh my gosh, I would have lost it. I love this though. See, this is what I like to see. Not the stories you hear about of them being mistreated and different things like that, man. No, I love to see this. Show us more of this. We need more of this in the world.
Our first investigation will be announced, but it's going to be covering on a thorough investigation into the John F. Kennedy assassination. And I can tell you, based on what I've been seeing so far, the initial hearing that was actually held here in Congress was actually faulty in the single bullet theory. I believe that there were 2 shooters, and we should be finding more information as we are able to gain access into the SCIF, hopefully before the files are actually released to the public. Our first
Finally. It only took, what, 5, 6, 7 decades, however long? We finally may, I'm optimistic, finally may get some answers, man, to the questions that a lot of us have been asking.
Of Congress who sit on judiciary, armed services, and the oversight committees are being denied access to this information. But if we do not have the clearance, who does? I think it's incredibly important to listen to the specific words that Grush uses. You know, Grush never said extraterrestrial or alien. He said interdimensional.
I would couch it as non-human intelligence, you know, NHI, like we like to say in our language.
Why do you say that? Why do you say NHI?
I don't want to necessarily denote origin. I don't think we have all the data to say, oh, they're coming from a certain location. Maybe they're coming from a different physical dimension as described in quantum mechanics.
Mr. Grush, why is it that you refer to the phenomenon as non-human intelligence? Why deviate from the basis of extraterrestrial life?
I think the phenomenon is very complex, and I like to leave an open mind analytically to specific origin.
When you say specific origin, are you referring, can you elaborate on that for those that might?
If it's a traditional extraterrestrial origin or something else that we don't quite understand from either a biological or astrophysics perspective, I just like to keep an open mind on what it could be.
There's just certain things that I think that it's important that you guys listen to on that.
And Representative Luna, she said that Grush will not call it alien. He refers to it as interdimensional. He's very particular about that.
The Super Bowl halftime show was as demonic as ever. Case in point with all of the symbols that they showed throughout this halftime performance. Case in point, near the end of the performance, they flashed the word game over. So what could that mean? Because this was also an American themed type show. And that's not all, because they also flashed the words Warning, wrong way. Again, what could they be telling us with these words in the crowd? And of course, they had to flash one of their favorite signs and their symbols. And this sign and symbol also looks like this right here. If you know, you know, but they sure do love their pyramids. So it is no surprise that this show was as demonic as ever. Even Samuel L. Jackson had to flash a certain hand sign. And again, if you know what this means. This has to do with the 666. So once again, this halftime show was as demonic as ever. People really need to wake up.
I watched the halftime show. I didn't get that, but who am I to tell you how to interpret something? Because I definitely don't let anyone tell me. I saw the shapes and different things like that, but to me that was the controller. It represented the controller, saying the controller, and it was a lot of things happening that you had to pay attention to of what was going on and what he was saying and the messaging he was giving. But I didn't get demonic from that though. But again, I can't tell nobody how to interpret something.
Celeste is sleeping home alone when this was captured.
No. No mames, no sé qué hacer ya, no sé qué hacer. No mames. Puerta. Voy a hacer. Ay, no. Voy a cerrar la puerta. No hay nadie, o sea, no hay nadie. No hay nadie. Voy a cerrar la puerta y le voy a poner. No hay nadie, literal, no hay nadie en plebes. O sea, no sé qué voy a hacer. Aquí voy a dejar el celular grabando aquí. A ver si capta algo, porque la neta ya me harté de que estén pasando cosas y no sepa qué es. La voy a dejar grabando y me voy a ir al cuarto. Me da mucho miedo, please, me da mucho miedo ver lo que hay. No mames. $16 minutos. Yo quiero saber lo que realmente pasó. No se ve nada. Fíjense. Por ahí se escucha un ruido. Como por ahí. No mames, no mames, no mames. No mames, no mames. No mames, güey, no mames.
Okay, you've seen everything you need to see. You can leave now. I would have left. As soon as I saw that, I would be gone.
Me está dando miedo. Te lo juro que estoy temblando. No mames. No mames, no mames. No mames. Plebes, me estoy muriendo de miedo. Estoy aquí afuera de la casa y me da miedo.
Celeste.
She clearly had no plan. She ran out into the middle of the street and stood there. Like, oh my, again, y'all survival skills irritate me. It irritates me, bro. I don't like to see this stuff, man. Y'all make me mad y'all have no chance at surviving. Nothing.
In the meantime, though, I want to focus not on the steel industry, but on electric vehicles and electric vehicle charging stations here. I want to get you up to speed on some of the news that was made. This is coming from the Department of Transportation. And I have that in front of me right here, a letter sent from the department stating they're suspending federal funding that was intended to be distributed to states from the National EV Infrastructure Formula Program. That provides funding to add chargers, mostly along the interstate highway system. Now, the letter does say that states will be able to receive reimbursements for, quote, existing obligations to design and build stations, quote, in order to not disrupt current financial commitments. So that coming today from the Department of Transportation, Secretary Sean Duffy, suspending this federal funding. Now, presumably this federal funding has already...
That sucks for people who got electric vehicles. You know what I mean? Like, that would, like, no, y'all promised all this stuff. Now you done went and got you one. And you're still struggling to find charging stations along your route when you go out of town. Like, no, that's foul.
Already been congressionally appropriated here. That's why the letter says states will be able to receive reimbursements for these existing obligations. Now, the Electric Drive Transportation Association, their members include GM, Toyota, Walmart, and others. They're now urging the department to quickly restart this $5 billion government EV infrastructure program. Their president, Genevieve Cullen, with this statement saying, quote, investments in charging and refueling stations are creating jobs and expanding consumers' transportation choices in every state. She says the NEVI program, created in bipartisan legislation, is an effective and important element of a truly strategic energy policy that promotes U.S. innovation, domestic investment, and energy security. She says we urge the administration to quickly resume the critical work of the program and minimize uncertainty for states and their businesses who have invested in infrastructure to serve local and national goals for advanced transportation here. So we'll keep an eye on this to see whether or not any of this changes. But for now, federal funding has been suspended for the National EV Infrastructure Formula Program there. Now, that would provide federal monies to states to beef up or even start charging infrastructure, charging programs for electric vehicles nationwide.